Welcome along to this Facebook Live. It is an Irish Whiskey Review special, introducing the Red Earl Irish Whiskey, as bold as the hero who inspires it. And talking of heroes, here he is.
Hello.
Now,
morning.
Yes,
Red Earl. Right. I sort of didn't hear you there at the start, so good evening, everybody.
We're live on the internet all around the world, tasting the Red Earl Irish Whiskey tonight.
Doing the Red Earl Irish Whiskey tasting from Concealed Spirits. Now, we'll get to that in a little minute. So we're doing this tasting comes courtesy of Concealed Spirits, all the way down in the south coast. Now, they have sent out to our lucky winners these little things here. Now, this is not Jesus, okay? 3 people said to me, it looks a bit like Jesus. So it's not Jesus, okay? It is Red Hugh O'Donnell, okay, who was the Earl of Tyrconnell, okay?
Now, who was he, Marty?
He was an old Gaelic lord, way back in the 16th century, late 16th century, early 17th century. Now, he was one of the old Gaelic earls. And Tyrconnell, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically Donegal. So he was the old Gaelic lords had swapped over to the English titles of Earl. So you had all of these Gaelic Earls. Now, lots of them were very close to the Crown forces, and lots of them were sort of floating in and out, if you like. They tried to play sort of both sides off against the middle quite a lot.
Never.
They did. They all tried to basically ingratiate themselves a lot of the time with the most powerful. But Hugh O'Donnell was slightly different in that he wasn't very old. He died when he was quite young. When he was 15, I've had to write this down. When he was 15, it was said, by the report of his beauty, his agility, and his noble deeds. So it was obviously quite a handsome sort of catch. Now, it was also said to be no friend of the Saxon of the Peel. So if anybody knows what the Peel is, it's the area around Dublin. Yeah. And it's where the saying "beyond the Peel," for something that's anything outside the Peel was said to be sort of ruffians and hallions, So
would that be us?
Yes, would be, yes, very much so. Yes. So he was born in 1572, and when he was a bit older, the Crown forces, if you like, basically took him to Dublin Castle and held him as a hostage. So his father basically, they made sure his father did what he was told. His father then later abdicated, and Hugh became the Earl of Tyrconnell, the Earl of Donegal, if you like. He married Rose O'Neill, who was the daughter of the most powerful Gaelic lord in Ireland, Hugh O'Neill, or the O'Neill as he was known. He was the Earl of Tyrone. So they were imprisoned in Dublin Castle. Hugh escaped. He's one of the very few people ever to escape from Dublin Castle. He was caught. He was caught again. When he did get out eventually, he fought against the Crown forces. And at the Battle of Kinsale, what happened was he was basically in Ulster fighting the Crown forces up here, and then the Spanish landed a fleet in Kinsale to help them. Now, Kinsale's a very, very long way from where all the action was. So he marched all his troops basically down to the south coast, the Spanish and the Irish forces, if you like, were defeated by the Crown, Hugh vanished over to Spain to try and get assistance, to get more help to come back. He said that he would return with 20,000 troops, but King Philip wasn't just as accommodating as he thought he might have been. So this was part of the flight of Earls. Now, the flight of Earls is seen as being the last of the Gaelic lords fleeing Ireland, and the end of that civilization, if you like. It's not strictly true. The Gaelic sort of way of life lasted for about probably a century later than that. But anyway, I'll not dwell too much on it. It was said that when Hugh went to Spain, he was tricked and poisoned by a James Blake using whiskey, which is not really conducive to us doing a tasting tonight. But he is probably more likely that he actually died of an illness. He was buried in a friary in 1602, and the friary was subsequently knocked down in the early part of the 19th century. So just this year, just a few months ago, there was a dig, and they think they have found the bones of Red Hugh O'Donnell, and are going to bring them home, going to bring them back. So hopefully, come on home, Hugh. We'll get you back. And yeah, so that's really the story of who the Red Earl is. Okay.
So he's a real person. A lot of people think these guys in Irish
whiskey
are made up.
This is our little sample bottles that we were sent out, and it's a triple cask. So it's got 3 casks finish. Okay. I know you've been at yours, Justin. You've been naughty, haven't you? Now, this is only released. It costs £37 a bottle, I think, for a 10 glass. It's finished in 3 casks. It's bourbon cask, then sherry cask, and then finished in Rioja. Now, Rioja is in northern Spain, for anyone who doesn't know much about wine, which includes myself, to be fair. So this is our little sample. So I'll pour myself out. Now, I've tried this before. I tried this in a Belfast Whisky Week. So I'll pour myself a little bit. Colour-wise, there's not a lot of colour. A very light tinge. Some people will think this is that shows it hasn't been in a sherry cask for very long or whatever. Lots and lots of whiskies have colouring added to them. Okay, E150A caramel colouring. You get some of them that are extremely heavy on it. So the colour is a natural colour. It's not been tampered with. Okay, so we'll let it sit for a little bit. I was doing some research on Red Hugh, so I was doing, if you want the history of Ulster, this is a fantastic book. This is the history of this part of the world.
People think, Marty, that you just actually make this up as you go along. People don't actually realise that you do a lot of research every week.
I do a bit of research, Justin. I don't go mad at it, let's be honest. I basically I had a thought earlier on. I thought I better just check a few things here. So I eventually I had a little look through the history of Ulster. Anyone that wants to read the definitive history of this part of the world, that's the only one really to go for. Now, I'll talk a little bit about casks because they're extremely important. It's really where most of the flavour of whiskey comes from. I know I've talked about this before, but I'll just re-emphasise it again. Most whiskey is aged in bourbon casks, mainly because they are easy to get and relatively cheap. I think bourbon casks now are probably selling for about £150 each, which is not that much really. It's fairly cheap, whenever you consider that they can be used for a very long time. But in America, bourbon casks can only be used once, so then they're sold. So they go across And that's where most whiskey's aged in bourbon casks. Okay, they're made from American oak, which is Quercus alba, white oak, which is probably the best wood to make casks from. It's easy to work with. It's the composition of the wood is actually a bit tighter, which means that it's less prone to leaks. The other type of oak that's used quite a lot is Quercus rhubarb, which is French oak. They do have slightly different tastes. American oak would give more of a vanilla sweetness. Sometimes people say it would be like aniseed for character. So that's really what the American oak. Now, so your bourbon casks, that would be pretty much standard. Anytime anyone says aged in oak, it's pretty much always bourbon casks. You can obviously have just untreated oak, virgin oak, but it tends to be a bit more, a bit too heavy for lots of whiskies. It gives an astringency very quick, that sort of bitter green taste. Then you have the sherry casks. Sherry casks are known as sherry butts, and they're twice the size of a standard American bourbon cask. Normally about 500 litres. They're really, really large. They're much more expensive. Much more expensive. I think the last time I was talking to anyone who was buying reasonably good quality sherry butts, they were talking £1,500 to £2,000 each. They can be really expensive.
Wow.
So you can see how the expense of this can really go up there. So this is finished in Rioja. Now, Rioja is the winemaking region, the Tempranillo and all that kind of wine. They've been making wine in Spain and that part of the world since 2000 BC. So they've been doing it for a very, very long time. You'd like to think they know what they're doing by now. And it was always said that it travelled well, which was its best quality, which doesn't. It's not the best quality to have in wine as such, But it was seen as being a good sort of robust wine that travelled well. But these days, it's probably my favourite type of wine is Rioja. I do like Tempranillos, I like Spanish wines.
Before you take a sip, I want to look at some of the comments coming in. Apologies about the audio tonight, but I actually felt some of the whiskey across my key, which probably doesn't help me. There's a taste But anyway, I didn't get too much of the whiskey.
That's the main thing.
So, Grant Erskine,
Evening.
Trevor Watson from Anna again. Good evening to you. This isn't from Anna on the Patrick Mulkey is saying good evening. Kenneth from Sagard.
Where's Sagard?
I think it must be somewhere down south. No idea. Earl Price is saying good evening. Michael Matthews is saying evening from Scurry. That way. But like going to Portofano these days. Stanley Song saying hello. He's in Ballymena.
Yes.
He's in Ballymena. Jonathan McCullough is a big viewership. Jonathan, lovely taste. Don't taste it yet. Savor it even more. Let me see. Julie, where were there? Michael Matthews is saying, never let the truth get in the way of the story. This is Texas on the map, Spain, with the Earls evening from Texas. Kenneth Reed is saying, is there a yearly O'Donnell Plant Festival every year in Donegal? I think there is.
There is. I'm pretty sure there is. I'm not a member of the O'Donnell clan, so I can't really tell you. But this was launched the same week as the O'Donnells were supposed to meet and have a clan gathering. So unfortunately, COVID-19, surprise, has managed to muck that up a bit. But yeah, I think there is every year. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so.
We've got a lot of people to get through tonight because we've got to get through them. People like to tell other people. Michael Matthews is spoiling for everybody. He said, nice, pretty favourite, a bit light, but the rocket glass are a lovely addition. James Moore Doherty, good evening from Donegal. And Saggart is on the N7 leaving Dublin.
I was right, Justin.
You were right. And then Grant Archer wee Belfast laddie in Manchester. Are you a City fan or United?
Please let him be a City fan.
All right, okay. And then Nick Matthews recorded. Yeah, unfortunately. Tried to sort, but as you know, connection up the left for some reason. And some feedback. I don't know how there's possible. I have headphones in. I have the volume down. So apologies for that. I will. Red Earl.
Right. So we'll do a little nosing. Tell us what you think. On the nose. Yep. Fresh fruit. Strawberries, raspberries, that kind of fresh fruit. Nuts, kind of like almonds, and there's a greenness to it as well. There's that sort of slight acidic apple. Yeah, very, very good fruit. Very fruit. Lovely. So now we'll go for a wee taste. Very easy to drink. What it does is you can get the sherry there, but the Rioja actually lifts the sherry. It doesn't make it that sickly sweet. Brings it out. There's a little bit of spice there. Must be coming from the Rioja. Yeah, a little bit of heat too. Almost like a chili thing in the finish, but very, very fruity. You can get the vanilla. There's a touch of vanilla there, but nothing too strong. Again, fresh fruit. Yeah, so it's really fruity towards the finish. It's not fresh fruit. Again, strawberries. It's that. Well, sherry casks tend to bring in that sort of very rich, deep fruit, cooked fruit prune type thing. This, what the Rioja has done is lift it up and it's added a little bit of acidity to it. Yeah, very easy to drink. Very, very easy to drink. You can make lots of nice cocktails out of that very easily. Very easily.
Would you recommend adding water to that? A bit of water. And it seemed to make it a lot stronger.
A lot stronger. I'll just add in a little bit and let it sit for a second. Yeah, very approachable, very easy to drink. There's not too many Irish whiskies that taste anything like this at the minute. It is very. There's a part of me wants to say this is like a young person's whiskey. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I thought it was a classic. I thought it reminded me of stuff from Days Gone Past.
Like what?
Stuff my granddad.
Your granddad would have probably been drinking the likes of Powers or something like that. Yeah.
This is on the mark.
No, it's very nice. It's really, but it does have that wine character to it. You know, it really does.
Yes.
Yes.
Let us know what you
Let us
think.
know what you think.
Michael Masters is saying spicy finish here.
It does have a very spicy wee finish to it, really. Surprising.
Yeah.
Good one for new whiskey distillers. Couldn't agree more. But these guys have a bit of heritage with other spirits as well, Marty.
I think they have backgrounds in hospitality, so not necessarily just the spirit industry as such, but they've bought this in. This is not their own. They don't have a distillery, and I think lots of people think that this is if you don't have a distillery that you're not authentic or something. It seems very strange, but a lot of people, this is a thing that everybody has done for a very long time. They buy a big distillery will make the whiskey, and then someone buys it or bonds it and bottles it, and but it's made to their specifications. Yeah. Now, in terms of length of finish, I'll talk a little bit about how you sometimes people get a little bit overawed by the whole whiskey tasting thing, as if there's a right and a wrong way. There's not. Whatever you taste is yours. It's entirely up to you. But a whiskey experience really comes in a number of stages. Your nose, that gives you one element of the character of the whole thing. Then you taste it. You get the delivery. Some whiskies, when you first go in the mouth, they just boom straight away, just punch you straight away. This doesn't really do that. This is subtle. It takes a little minute for it to basically appear in the mouth. Once you then swallow it, you have what's called the finish. And this isn't a very old whiskey, but it's got a reasonably good finish to it in terms of length. After you've tasted this, it'll develop in thing, and that's why they're saying about having that peppery finish as it goes along. There's that little it's almost like a chili spice at the end of it. It's really quite nice. So it is, and it's quite surprising. I didn't actually think I didn't get that the first time I tasted this. As I say, very, very easy to drink, very nice. So everybody, thumbs up.
The general seem to be there's grand water. Not that I cheat leather much.
No, I'm not really getting that, no.
Everybody's taste buds and palates are different, Marty.
Absolutely, of course. No, I wouldn't say I was getting any leather.
And Kenneth, heat on first tip, you get settled after a couple of tips. Yes, agree with you there.
Yep, I would wholeheartedly agree. I think that sort of peppery spiciness is a little bit of a surprise, really. I'll just pour myself another one. As I say, I kind of like the styling of the bottle. It's got that sort of almost comic book character look to it, you know. And I'm a big comic book fan, Justin, as you know. I like graphic novels and stuff, you know. It's just a pity I can't afford them most of the time these days.
Because they're dearer than
You're right.
They were very generous with their sample for the tasting one.
Yeah, they were nice guys. Concealed Spirits is the brand name. They do a gin, which is award winning. It's won a few awards over in the London Gin competition. So Ernest is the guy who I've been in contact with quite a bit. I think he's in Germany tonight. I'll just let everybody in on a little thing that we did. Me and Justin, 2 weeks ago, we went to the pub, and I come back and Justin was talking to two German tourists who were staying in my lovely little village of Glenarm. And Justin, and you know where I'm going with this, Justin started talking about, because he speaks a little German, don't you?
Ein bisschen.
Yeah. So he was trying to sort of converse with them in German, and he was trying to make them feel at home, and everything was fine and all going well. And then he said, he said, "Oh, they film stuff around here," and I heard him saying something about Game of Thrones. Then he said they film in Glenarm. They filmed something here last year, and I said, "All right, and I'm sort of shaking my head, going, mm-mm. Beast, stop." So he kept banging on and kept banging on. What was it? What was it? He said, "What was it?" He said, "What was that called?" And I said, "The Windermere Children." All right, yeah. What was that about? Jewish kids fleeing the Holocaust. So I went down like a lead balloon.
That was all right. You have to be honest. There was a couple of Kingdom transports to County Down, Northern Ireland. If only we had the tourist back with season to enjoy things like our fine beverages and fine establishments, but it's a funny old year.
No, it's been a very, very strange year. Very strange year. I hope everybody's staying safe. Guys, I just want to actually say something on a slightly serious note. I know quite a lot of people have been in lockdown and they have been drinking a lot more because obviously they've been in lockdown. Just keep an eye on that, guys, because it's very easy for it to creep up. Before you know it, you're kind of drinking every day of the week. So
and you're as fat as me. As fat as me.
You said that and not myself. But just, as I say, just keep an eye on that, guys, because I know a few people that it's becoming a bit more of a problem. So just keep an eye on that, you know.
We're getting some great response tonight. Trevor Watson is saying, "I let my non-whiskey drinking wife try it, and she gets a lot of pepper." Frank Herring is saying, "I subscribe to the Justin Skillen tasting. My bottle is in the glass. Some of my bottles in the keyboard."
Alright. So, what do you think of it, Frank? Good, bad, indifferent? Peppery, spicy, fruity?
I think it's a lovely, quite long, complex finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me see. There's people being sensible. Grant Erskine had to put a ban on the consumption during the week.
I think that's reasonable enough. I'm just thinking that last set there, right? That there was a real cinnamon lozenge taste to that. A real cinnamon, but cinnamon sweetie coming through on that.
Yes, I think some other people had mentioned that Trevor had said that it was cinnamon flavour. That's my granny's favourite sweet. But here's Grant trying to get pound talk. He says he wasn't getting battered, but there's 3 big ones every night coming a hand.
Yeah, as I say, I hate to put a little bit of a downer on, but I'm just while it popped in my head, you know.
Right. These tastings, you were talking to me about your taste buds and these senses in here can alter a tasting.
They can. Lots of companies do certain things. The reason that whiskies are coloured, and remember, this isn't coloured. This is very pale. It gets all its colour from the thing, from the casks. The reason people colour it is it's because of your perception. Now, it's standardised. There's a couple of reasons. They standardise the look of it as well, but your mind essentially plays tricks on you at times. There's a process called synesthesia, where your senses get slightly overlapped. So you can, for example, the composer Schubert suffered from an extreme case of synesthesia, where he actually saw music in colour. So whenever sounds were being played, he saw different colours. Now, how that relates to this, if you're listening to high-pitched music, or if there's something high-pitched, normally you will get a sweeter taste of something. If you're listening to Barry White, you'll get more of a sour taste. And that happens for about 60% of people. Right, if you put red colouring in this, normally that makes something taste sweeter, even though it's perfectly neutral. And you have these different aspects. Now, lots of companies play on this. I mean, especially the likes of supermarkets and so on. They'll pipe in the smell of freshly baked bread to make you hungry or make you think, trick you into buying more stuff. Other thing when you're tasting, try and not have any loud music going. The reason is you have a nerve on the side of your face called the trigeminal nerve, and if there's loud music or loud noises, really you can't taste. It becomes a lot harder to actually discover any sort of flavour or taste to things, because the sound basically overrides what's going on in your head. So this nerve runs on the side of your face. So if you're doing a tasting by yourself or whatever, try and do it where it's quiet. Again, don't be wearing strong perfumes and that kind of stuff. That goes without saying. It's hard to do a tasting as well if you've got very strong food. And by that, I kind of mean the likes of curries and stuff, that kind of stuff, because that again that'll affect your taste buds for quite a long time. Try and stay hydrated. Try and drink quite a lot of water, and that'll not affect your taste either. So, as I say, all of these little things are they're not important, but they all add up to a better experience.
It certainly does.
It certainly does. It certainly does.
I do like the sweetness from it, and some very positive comments here tonight. I think you've picked a very good price point in a very crowded marketplace. I don't think the marketplace is that crowded yet. What have we got? Three distilleries in Ireland now? 33.
33, but I don't think it's that crowded. But I think what Michael's talking about is at that. I call it the entry level. Sort of from £20 to £40 bottles, and I know quite a few people. £40 was really sort of pushing what they would spend on a bottle of whiskey, but it's really not that expensive, really. I think once they go beyond that point, and at £40, £20 to £40, you're starting to see a few more coming out. Personally, I think it's probably not that crowded just yet. But I could see where it could end up very, very crowded in the not too distant future. But it's nice to see Irish whiskies doing that, because Dr. John Teeling said a long time ago that when he was in the US, he said they had these massive liquor stores in America, and there was dozens of different types of scotches, everything from ultra premium down to White and Mackay and all that kind of stuff, bells and grouse. And maybe when he went hunting, he maybe found half a dozen bottles of Jameson, a bottle of Bushmills. That was maybe all that was there. So now that there's lots and lots of different brands of Irish whiskey that are only released in the US market. But but it's nice to see them starting to compete on at least a starting level, with the ones in the US.
So some fantastic here. A lot of taste comes from the eyes. Did you ever see the taste test blue? The flavour.
Yeah, it's all about, a lot of it's about perception. It's the reason when you're building an aeroplane, aeroplanes are designed completely wrong, right? Because if you think about it, the safest way to build a plane, you would be sitting with your back to the front. So if you crash, if you hit into something, you would go into your chair. But people wouldn't fly because they think they were sitting in the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? So the whole thing about a plane basically is that it's designed. These days, the best place for a pilot to be sitting would be at the rear, so he could see the whole plane, and he could have cameras sitting out the front, so he could, to do autopilot basically lands the whole thing and does all that anyway. But people wouldn't fly because they think the pilot couldn't see. It's just mad. But lots of stuff's about perception and what people think is true and what it,
Well, we've got another comment in, and I always do like to get the old comments. It says, the Red Earl has a Graham Nuttall painter look to it. Now, I don't know who Graham Nuttall is. I don't even know who Terry Nutkins is.
Terry Nutkins.
But Graham Nuttall is a designer, an artist from, well, I think he's from here.
Is he?
Yeah. I'm just looking him up here. I'm not so sure his paintings do look like Graham Nuttall or not.
Since I don't know who Graham Nuttall is, I'll have to take somebody else's word for it.
What do you show you these? If I can bring them into the screen. Chrome tab. Share this. And see what you think of these Graham Nuttall pictures. Not so sure. I thought the branding on the bottom was very, very strong.
I like it. I do think old Hugh's got a very sort of side-eye look to him. He's a bit sort of coy, isn't he? Hello.
I think it's excellent. It's very strong. It's very contemporary.
I mean, you're not going to come to, it does stand out, and that's really the name of the game. But I do think old Hugh's giving a bit of side eye there, Hello, girls. Hello, ladies.
He's probably one over
He's probably one eye over the shoulder to see if the Spanish are coming. Hurry up.
Let me see.
It's been very warm all day, Justin. Very warm.
Now, if you want to get make sure you follow us on the Facebook page. And let me see what people are saying. It says here. Kenneth, thank you. Familiar about the Michael Matthews. Agree that is an artist. Julie saying something good. I think you've been watching it for the grapevine that you are a connoisseur. Sort of whiskey people in fact. Let me see. Michael Matthews. It's very like the style I have. We're not research the Michael Matthews.
Like the poor Urbanus.
Yeah, I wish we could be somewhere before stuck here.
Yeah, I wish we could go away too. I wish 2020 would really disappear in total. But so, what sort of score are we giving this, guys, out of 10? I think that's a very, very respectable 7.5.
I'd probably give it more than that.
Yeah. I think it's value for money. I think 7.5. Yeah.
I like sweeter stuff.
Oh, I know. We're on eating the jellies.
Yes.
I like the freshness of it.
I've had some nuts tonight.
Last week you were eating crisps.
No, but I didn't eat them on screen. You get told off for drinking the can, so I didn't get told off. You shouldn't eat.
I'm now drinking from glass just to keep everybody happy.
I have some of these lovely you give me.
Yeah, the glass does make a huge difference. It really does.
It does. Certainly does.
No, so that's the Red Earl. I think everybody's big thumbs up.
Yeah, It is.
It is.
Let me see.
Let me see.
Frank Byrne is saying the colour
the quite light.
in the sample
In the
bottle
sample
is
bottle is it doesn't have that.
according to the glass
According
and
to
the colour
glass
deep.
and the colour deep. Yeah,
That's true.
true. That's true.
That sample bottle is
That bottle is actually,
you know,
you
so
know,
to go through
so
the
to go
box.
through the box.
I've had that sample bottle.
And let me see.
And let me see.
Grant Erskine's agreeing. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
No,
Trevor, watch. See, you're a hard task, Trevor.
You're a hard man to please, Trevor.
And Grant Erskine at 30 quid. It's very good value. It's not bad. I mean,
It's not bad. I mean,
not like this.
not like this. It'll sip.
You broke up there, Justin. What did you say?
A bottle at 38 quid.
Would last weeks.
I mean, £38 is not that expensive. It's not an expensive bottle of whiskey. It is. That's certainly at that price. I think it's very, very, very good. Very good.
Yeah. There you go. He's another half point and push it towards the 8.
So I think we're fairly
We're average 10, which is pretty good. There's another 7 out of 10.
Well, I think the thing about it is this is their first foray into the whiskey game, and I think they've done an excellent job in that. I think it shows a lot of promise. I think I heard them saying that they're going to bring out probably a little series, the Conceal series. So the next one might be something in a similar style, probably a different cask finish, but it'll be probably another Irish hero or Irish icon, probably a good word. So that's kind of be something to do like that. I think is where they're going. So hopefully we'll get to see that in the not too distant future.
We could have a competition. Who you would like to be in it. That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Well, if it's Irish icons, I think we should have Barack Obama. Do you remember that song? There's no one as Irish as Barack Obama.
You would probably
I would say you probably would. I don't know whether what Barack would charge to have his face put in a bottle of whiskey, but I would say it's probably quite a lot, I would think.
7 figures.
I would sure.
Well, you need to be on your money, Justin.
I'm new, let me see. I can't even afford a decent microphone. It's Kenneth Reed's 7. Very nice with the night. Patrick Mulkey going with 8. Yeah.
Good. That's a good score for first foray into the market. I think that's a very good showing on their part.
Yeah, that was really good. A great wee story to go with. A few tales over that's what it's all about. It's always been being social with friends. I mean, we would do it tonight.
Well, put it like this. Well, that's what I've always said from day one we started doing these shows. It's all about an experience. That's what it's all about. If you're buying in, hopefully, whenever I did a bit of the history at the start, people maybe heard something they didn't hear before, maybe they want to find out about the Battle of Conceal, or the next time they see the news and it says something about Red Hugh O'Donnell's body being brought back to Donegal. This is what it's all about. It's all about getting stories and experiences and so on and so forth. That's what makes whiskey. I think whiskey's different than pretty much every other spirit, possibly with the exception of rum, in that it has this. It lends itself very well to having stories.
There's two. He said he was cheap, but would get an extra. Yeah, I get where you're coming from that.
Well, when I do the Sunday Life, and I have a review tomorrow of a whiskey in the Sunday Life, I always give a value for money score, and it's a point. It's up to a point. So the way I score it is it's 3 for nose, 3 for taste, 3 for finish, and then 1 for value for money. Because there are some extremely overpriced whiskies about, I'm afraid, and ones that are expensive, but they really don't warrant paying the money for them, you know.
This won't go wrong. I'm not sure it would be. To me, it's a more classic.
Yeah.
By the way, when I poured this out of the pot, like, it's a new whiskey or no? It met with my approval.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's fresh. I think it really would appeal to young people. Taste wise, it's kind of that very approachable, easy drinking, cocktaily. It would work well with some very simple cocktails, you know.
Right. Let me see. Grant Erskine, positive spot. Mike Matthews saying every day is a school day.
It is.
And Stanley Sung. Absolutely. So we've had a lot of people tonight. Thank you all for enduring the bad audio. I have to listen to it in main ear twice.
Poor old John. Well, it could be worse. They could hear you loud and clear. Which would be worse.
Oh, you're a bad man. So what's planned for the lockdown Where we're going to go next week?
Next week, I haven't given it any thought, Justin, to be totally honest. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. I have to do the finish off my elements. I've done fire, water, and earth. So now I have to figure out how I'm going to get air. So I might not do that next week. I might do that in a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully, in a couple of weeks' time, we'll have another a tasting from a different distillery. I've been chatting to a few of these guys to do something very similar to this. That would be the third tasting. Next week we'll I don't know. We'll see. We'll check. We'll think of something.
The weather was good for I had a lovely evening with you yesterday, and I was in Jersey, and it was fabulous day.
Yeah, really. Actually, quite hot now.
It's going to rain this week, isn't it?
Probably. The weather this year has been superb. It's just about where we can go is very limited.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but.
So, if you'd like to stay tonight, we'll wrap up for 10 minutes tonight. Let me see, we're are coming thick and fast. Grant Erskine appeals to young people. Obviously, just turned 40.
Didn't just turn 40. Okay, right.
Well, you see,
don't worry about it.
See the way this is 2020. 2020 didn't happen.
No.
If you take 20 off 2000, I'm 20 years younger.
Yeah.
So I'm still only
30. Yes. Yeah. Skipping briefly along, Justin.
Nobody believes that.
No.
It's just because I'm overweight.
It's also because you're old.
I'm younger than you. I just had a hard paper.
It's all uphill.
It was all up the valley.
Up the valley in Glenarm. I wouldn't fancy doing a paper round in Glenarm. Yes. You did calves on you like an elephant.
You have calves. So I think we would really like to thank for getting this right. Everybody got it.
I think
Enjoyed it.
everybody enjoyed it, and I hope everybody, yeah. So that if you ever see it, you'll be like, maybe buy a bottle.
We're getting a message in there from a channel that does where can you get this radar?
You can get from the usual. For us, we can buy it online. Obviously, you get it at irishmalts.com. You can get it from their website. They sell it. Postage and packaging, I'm not sure what it is from the website. But if you go to Conceal Spirits, or Google Conceal Spirits, you can buy it direct from the website, which is always pretty good because the cost of doing something like this. I think people sometimes don't appreciate just how much effort goes into producing something like this, in terms of well, finances and so on and so forth. So most of the time, I try and buy from websites or direct from the supplier if possible.
Really good question. Marty. It's definitely a good copy. Yeah. But Frank putting it into a cocktail. Meet a masterclass.
Not for me. Not for me. I know nothing.
I want a cocktail.
Justin, I would make you one like a Del Boy Trotter. You'd have umbrellas in it and wee sparkly things out of it, and all. That's what I would make for you. I would sit you down to a tea.
I like stuff like that.
I know you do. I know you do. I would have gummy bears on cocktail sticks and stuff.
Yeah.
Cola balls.
What's wrong with that?
Not a thing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's one of the best people for cocktails and jazz bar. And I like cocktails. No?
Not really for me. No. I don't understand a lot of the time. I know when a whiskey would suit cocktails and when they wouldn't. But I remember I was in Dublin. I was in one of the hotels, and my partner at the time ordered this cocktail, and it came with a pickled onion in it.
I think that was free.
It was. I don't know. It's just, but it didn't actually say on the description of it that it was a pickled onion. It called it something else, but it was a pickled onion.
Oh, boy. This show. Let me see. Remember saying thank you so much for another show. Thanks to the Red Earl. Yeah, thank you. Grant Erskine, 485 from Irish. That's very affordable. And it says yes, one to get as a drinker. Yeah.
I think it's a triumph. I think it's very, very good. And certainly as a first nighting. Yeah.
And then lovely jubbly. Good. That's why my story we're here. And this is Grant Erskine. For years, my long white, which makes sense in English, as they don't have over here. Long have the sea, right?
100%. You're breaking up there, Justin. I can't hear you.
I think it come out in translation.
No, I think the foods that we have, indigenous foods in Northern Ireland, are awesome. Proper coloured potato, cheese and onion, the proper yellow packet, proper one. brown lemonade, which is vegetable roll, which is only a passing affection for vegetable roll with vegetables. There's a tiny bit of onion and a little bit, of scallion in it. All in it. All our food stuff's the best in the world. Absolutely fantastic.
We'll put some other another
great show.
Always
learn new.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Kenneth Reid. On a side note,
my favorite band
up north. Oh, right. Oh, that's right.
Personally, favourite own brand whiskey is if you get the Islay one on Lidl. What's the one that they do? I can't remember. Not the Queen Margot stuff. Lidl do an own brand Speyside and an own brand Islay, and the Islay one's extremely good. It's unbelievable value for money.
Let me see. Paddy Loki. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you.
Cheers from Canada. Love your show.
Oh, thanks very much.
That's
We're
all right.
international, Justin.
Well, it's been big viewership. Well in the double tonight. Queen Margot, Spain here.
No, it's not the Queen Margot one from Lidl. They bring it out sporadically. I can't mind the name of it. My head's away with it.
I know it's the son. Michael Matthews is saying, I just want to drink nothing. And somebody said, I'd kill for a mean a pink
Grant, you're the guy that left the homeland, son. You're the guy that left the province.
I'm gonna ring now. I'm gonna ring. I'm gonna chip and get a pink packet delivered. 1 minute.
The chip shops are shut. No, a good proper pink pasty. Party beat.
Hello.
I'll stick to the water. Adam and Hatton. I had one. What do you tell you? I was in New York.
Yeah, I wish. If the US starts letting people in, we'll maybe go for a week Manhattan, Justin Holly.
On Concord?
Oh yes. You're paying.
I would pay. Right. Thank you very much tonight.
Thank you everybody for tuning in.
And thank you.
Thanks to the sales press.
Yeah.
I think we got a thumbs up from everybody, so good job.
All right. Time for time. No. I have some notes before we go to bed.
Yeah.
Bottoms up.
Milk and cookies.